everyone, I'm Drew Goldfarb. Welcome to this edition of Betting for the Cycle. We're giving you 4 picks for upcoming baseball games, matchups, or prop bets, or daily fantasy, trying to go 4 for 4 to bet for the cycle. Here's how this works. I'm going to pose 4 potential wagers or daily fantasy comparisons. Our experts and I will each give you our picks and rank them based on how confident we are in the outcome. Least confident pick is the single. Most confident pick, of course, the home run. We'll each have a pick we consider to be a home run, triple, double, and a single each and every week, giving us a chance at betting for the cycle, something that has happened just once so far. Our individual stats are tracked all season long. You'll see those pop up on the screen as well. Joined by Taylor Smith and Jim Beviglia. Jim, of course, the one who has bet for the cycle successfully. Guys, this week we begin with a single game pick. Atlanta Braves hold a comfortable lead in the NL East. They're going to send Julio Teheran to the mound on Thursday. Wildcard leading Washington Nationals will be countering with Stephen Strasburg. We're not picking the pitcher to put out the best individual performance here, but rather the winning team from this game. So, Taylor, can the Braves beat Strasburg, or will the Nats take Thursday's contest?
They can beat Strasburg, but I'm not going to go there. Strasburg has the tougher micro matchup, of course, of the 2 starters facing the Atlanta offense, but Teheran has a 3.71 ERA, but his xFIP is 5.26. He's been really lucky this season. I imagine the regression monster is going to come for him at some point soon. Strasburg, once again, quietly putting up another stellar season. He's 2-0 in 2 starts against Atlanta this season as well. I'm taking the Nationals here. Single game picks are pretty volatile, so I'm taking it as my single.
Jim.
Yeah, I'm going to go Taylor with the Nationals as well. He mentioned that Strasburg has pitched well against Atlanta. Teheran has avoided the Nationals to this point, and he mentioned Teheran's stats. I mean, he's walking close to a batter every 2 innings. The Nationals, on the larger level, the Nationals have been pretty much the best team in baseball since the middle of May. So even though the Braves have the better record right now, they've been kind of playing on an even keel. And just think the pitching matchup favors the Nats. A little worried about the bullpen, but the Braves bullpen has been shaky at times as well. So I'm going to go with the Nats, and I'm going to make it my double.
I'm going to make it 3 for 3. I'm taking Washington to win Strasburg's start, and I'm going to make it my triple. Teheran has gone to 3 straight starts without a decision, but Atlanta's won all 3 of those games. His last recorded win came on June 13th against Pittsburgh. He has not started against Washington yet this season. The Braves 5-4 in games where he gets the decision, 8-1 in games where he pitches but gets a no decision. Strasburg 11-4 this year. The Nats 1-3 in his starts, where he doesn't earn a decision. But he's 2-0 against Atlanta this year. Washington 1-2 against the Braves in games that he does not start. I think that trend continues. The Nationals win Strasburg's game. The Braves win the series. So I'm going to go with Washington, and I'm going to make it my triple. So we're all picking Washington. 3 different confidence levels, though, so that'll be interesting. For question 2, we turn to daily fantasy. Justin Verlander scheduled to start Friday's game for the Houston Astros. They'll be taking on the Texas Rangers. Meanwhile, it is Hyun-Jin Ryu going for the Dodgers against the Miami Marlins. So, Jim, which pitcher will be the better play on Friday?
Well, a real tough one here. I'm actually going to go with Ryu in this one as a single. Verlander's been a little bit of a slump. I mean, it's relative, obviously. A lot of pitchers would kill for his stats the last month or two, but his ERA has risen from 2.204 in May. It's now up over 3. Ryu has only had really 1 bad start all year. He's only had 1 start where he's given up more than 2 earned runs, and that was at Colorado, so you can almost throw that out. Even against Boston last weekend, he had a rough start, and he fought through it. And he's got the better matchup facing Miami. Texas has hit Verlander a couple times this year. Times he dominated them, so it's been kind of up and down. But first time Marlins see Ryu, I'm going to go with him, and I'm going to make that one my single.
I did a lot of math on this one. It led me to picking Verlander and making it my double this week. In an average start this season, Justin Verlander goes 6 2/3, gives up about 2 earned runs, 5.5 walks and hits, and strikes out 8. Ryu goes 6 1/3, gives up 1 1/3 runs, gives up 6 walks and hits, and strikes out just under 6. So before factoring in a win using the DraftKings scoring system, Verlander gets 23.2 fantasy points, Ryu 19.7. A win is worth 4. So Ryu would basically, if he won and Verlander got a no decision or a loss, would take the lead there. But and it is likely that Ryu will end up getting the win against Miami, but it's not necessarily completely unlikely Verlander gets a win against the Rangers. He did it on Sunday in Arlington. I'm going to take Verlander here. Since they're just both really outstanding pitchers, I'm just going to make it my double. So there we go. I think both had really good qualities, and you can make an argument on both sides, as Jim and I just did. So Taylor, which pitcher are you going to make the argument for and make it a 2 for 3 on the rubber match here, the rubber pick of this matchup?
I will break the tie with a homer pick and Verlander. He's the more likely to give up runs, of course. I think he's leading the league in home runs allowed, which is kind of crazy, but he's pitching at home. It's a more pitcher-friendly park than Arlington is. Strikeouts are really the name of the game when it comes to DFS, and Verlander is a way better strikeout pitcher than Ryu. He has a K rate of 31.5% this season. Ryu's at 23.5%. The Marlins are bad, but they also don't strike out much against lefties. They're likely to run 9 right-handed hitters out there. They have a 20.6% strikeout rate against lefties. That's the 6th lowest mark in baseball, whereas Texas has the 5th or 4th highest rate at 25.2%. So given the strikeout matchup, I think Verlander can offset any home runs he allows. I'm taking Verlander as my home run pick this week.
All right, well, we've got a series pick to get to now. It's the Battle of Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh Pirates trying to get back to 500, remain in postseason contention, hosting the Philadelphia Phillies for a 3-game set this weekend. Phil's hovering right around the 500 mark, struggling to hold on to the second wildcard spot. So our pick here is which team will win the weekend series. I'm up first. I'm taking Philadelphia as my home run pick. These teams may not be too far off in the standings, but they probably should be when you're just looking at the talent on each roster. Even when you forget the names on the Phillies roster, their run differential this season, 38 runs better for the Phillies than for the Pirates. Both teams are in the negatives, so it's not like Philadelphia's got a great run differential, but minus 15 is a whole lot better than minus 53. Both teams 4-6 in their last 10 games, both below 500 since the All-Star break as we're sitting here discussing this. So no real advantage to look at when it comes to recent performance. Given the rest of the picks we have to make this week, I'm as confident here as anywhere. So might as well go with the home run and hope that the Phillies can pull out 2 of 3. So Taylor, you've already made your home run pick. Which side of the Battle of PA are you going with?
I'm taking the home team. I don't have much faith in this. It's my double. I'm taking the Pirates, of course. I think they, on the balance of the projected starters, have the better pitchers going. Excuse me, Jordan Lyles, Trevor Williams, Joe Musgrove against Jake Arrieta, Zach Eflin, and Vince Velasquez. It's really a coin flip. The Phillies are 6 games under 500 on the road this season. Pirates slightly over at home. I don't love this, obviously, but I'll take Pittsburgh as my double.
So now Jim gets to play the role of tiebreakers. So which side in the Battle of PA are you going? You going west side in the Pirates, or are you going eastern PA in the Phillies?
Yeah, well, I feel like I have to get this one right because I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm going with the Phillies, and I'm actually going to make it my home run. It goes back to a lot of what you said, Drew. When you look at the numbers and the stats, the Phillies don't play that well on the road, so that's a concern. None of these starting pitchers here really stand out as a dominant starting pitcher. But just looking at the two teams, the Phillies just have more talent. You just still feel like at some point they're going to get on a little bit of a streak, even though their pitching makes that tough for them. And Pirates may be getting closer to sell mode as they get a little bit further away from the top of the division. So it's a tough series to call, but I like making the series picks my confidence picks. So I'm going to go with the Phillies, and I'm going to make that my home run.
All right, last one to complete the cycle. It's going to be hitting a daily fantasy pick here, and it'll be a hitting daily fantasy pick. For this, we're going to be picking 2 sluggers from the same weekend series and pick which one will have the better weekend. We're judging it based on head-to-head performance in games where both players start in the series, with total points for those games as the tiebreaker. Chicago Cubs host the San Diego Padres this weekend. Each boasts a slugging third baseman. Manny Machado for the visitors, Kris Bryant for the home team. Which man on the hot corner will have the better series in daily fantasy? Taylor, we go to you first.
I'm taking Machado. I think he's the better hitter in general if you go head-to-head here. The Padres this weekend are facing Lester, Quintana, and Hendricks. That's 2 lefties out of 3, of course. Machado is hitting .400 against lefties this season. His WOBA is .538 against southpaws, which is ridiculous. Kris Bryant has to face Cal Quantrill, the Sheriff, Chris Paddock, and Joey Lucchesi this weekend. It's not as ideal for him. I'm making it my triple. I'm taking Machado.
Jim, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going with Machado as well. Taylor mentioned those stats against left-handed pitchers. I mean, they're just outrageous. It's interesting. You don't realize that he's only about a 240 hitter against right-handed pitchers. So that's how much he makes up facing the lefties. And he is facing the Cubs on the whole, I think, have the better three pitchers going against them. But the fact that it is two lefties, that makes a big difference. I think Bryant could have a big series as well. I think this could be tight. But like Taylor mentioned, those stats against lefties for Machado really stand out so much. So I'm going to go with Machado, and I'm going to make it my triple.
I'm going to go against the grain here. I'm going to take Kris Bryant. I'm only going to make it my single pick. I was actually hoping to find some stats on Machado playing at Wrigley Field to see what he would do there, but he's never played there. 29 ballparks for Manny. Wrigley Field will be number 30. Only 3 games against the Cubs. They all came back in 2017, where he was 3 for 11 with a double, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. For the Orioles, that series was played at Camden Yards. Kris Bryant hasn't been particularly amazing against the Padres in his career. 9 extra base hits, 78 career at-bats. No home runs in his last 10 games against them. That said, Bryant has 10 more extra base hits than Machado this year in 14 fewer at-bats. His OBP is better. His slugging percentage is better. His WAR is better. Scores more runs, gets more hits. He's on the better team. Machado has been better than Bryant in the limited action since the All-Star break. But Bryant is going to be my pick here. There's a really good argument when it comes to the pitching matchup. So I'm just going to keep it as my single out of respect to both that and Machado's 6 for 18, 3 home run line since the All-Star break came to a close. Before we wrap things up, we're going to check back in on our World Series picks. I've got Atlanta plus 300 to win the National League, Minnesota plus 450 to win the American League, Twins back to plus 450 after a week at about plus 400, Braves now plus 270. No reason for me to move away from Atlanta, so I'm going to stick there in the NL. AL is interesting not because of the shift with the Twins line, but because the Astros have moved back to plus 170. They spent some time at plus 130. So since Minnesota likely isn't going to go anywhere odds-wise, and I did say early on in this series I was holding off on taking a betting favorite because their value would still be about the same later on in the season, I'm going to switch my American League pick again. I'm going to switch to Houston. I think Minnesota still offers potential value, but now is probably the time to get in on Houston if I was ever going to consider the Astros or the Yankees. So might as well take them while their odds are good. Taylor, you've got the Astros locked in at plus 180 when you picked them a couple months ago. Dodgers are at plus 170. Like I said, Houston's at plus 170. LA now still even money, plus 100 to win the National League. Any changes that you'd like to make on either side?
No, I can't jump off of LA here. I'm terrified to do that because if I do, then they're probably not ever getting back to plus 170 unless, half the team gets cholera or something. So I'm going to keep with LA. Houston, like you said, the odds are still favorable. I got plus 180. It could get more favorable, so I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to jump off yet, but yeah, I guess I'm sticking with it.
Jim, you locked in the Yankees and the Dodgers. Already mentioned LA's movement. Yankees were plus 230 when you locked them in. They're currently sitting at plus 150, so really good value on your end for the Bronx Bombers. That said, do you want to make any changes?
No, I think next week I want us to bet on how many those players get cholera. That would be an interesting wager to add to everything. But yeah, same thing I said last week. I'm a little bit torn between the Yankees and the Astros. I still feel like whoever grabs that starting pitcher first is going to have the jump. But the Dodgers aren't going anywhere, and the National League still really tough. And so I feel comfortable with those two picks. Again, kind of teetering on the Yankees-Astros, but I'm going to stick with it.
That'll do it for this week's edition of Betting for the Cycle. Be sure to check back next week where we'll show you the stats of how we did and give you our latest picks. For Jim Beviglia and Taylor Smith, I'm Drew Goldfarb. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.